You're listening to The Spooky Darlings, a podcast where three sisters get together and tell each other a spooky tales. And today is one of our 3D episodes. Haley is hosting. She chose the topic. She gave us our assignments. And I'm going to go ahead and first introduce myself. I'm Nettie.
I'm Haley.
I'm Emily.
And so today, sisters, we're doing Whistleblowers. And
Yes.
I was so excited when I just decided, I don't know what even made me think of doing this topic, but I was so excited that you guys were also feeling pretty enthusiastic about it. So really quick, let's talk about what a whistleblower is. A whistleblower is usually somebody who is like an insider. A lot of times it's a corporation. Sometimes it's our government. And they will report on illegal, unethical practices, or exposure to harmful chemicals that maybe the public is not aware of. And they will expose wrongdoing like fraud, corruption, or gross mismanagement, trying to hold organizations or governments accountable. And so I can't wait to talk about who we have all chosen today. So to start off with my case that I chose, her name is Martha Mitchell. And there is a quote about her from former President Nixon. And he said, I'm convinced if it hadn't been for Martha, there'd have been no Watergate. So,
Really?
Martha Mitchell, born in 1918, grew up as an only child, a very well-to-do family in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. She studied at University of Arkansas, University of Miami, and then she went on to work as a receptionist to the General of Pine Bluff Arsenal. She moved when the general was moved to Washington, D.C. She transferred with him, not romantically, as his employee, where she met and married an army captain. They eventually moved to New York City, and then there, after he was discharged, after 11 years of marriage, they would divorce. And a few months later, Martha met and married a wealthy Manhattan lawyer, John Mitchell. Eventually, Martha and John would move to D.C., so she's back in D.C. again, and they would move into the exclusive Watergate complex.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I forget that Watergate was like a building, like a place.
I forgot about that.
Not just a scandal.
I know.
Yeah.
Me too. So her husband, having been appointed Attorney General of the United States in 1968 under President Nixon, and Martha was very proud of her husband. She said that he was one of the most intelligent men in the world, and they seemed very fond of each other. And she really was passionate about bettering the world and bettering the U.S. as a whole. And she was very outspoken about all of this. And Nixon did not like that Martha was making a name for herself. He even said that she needed to learn to step back. And Martha, he was talked about how Martha didn't like to play by the rules. And if Martha was coming to the White House, staff and other guests were put on alert. So Martha established herself as an enthusiastic partygoer. She had a very distinctive sense of style. It was very colorful. She was considered the most colorful of the Nixon cabinet wives. And she was called outspoken and indiscreet. She even stated on TV that she liked to have fun with the president. Quote, he didn't know when I was kidding, and when I wasn't, he found me to be a rather strange person.
I like her.
Right?
She's too.
Yes.
She seems like someone that you personally, and probably you too as well, it's like, I hope Martha's coming tonight. You just always hope that she's going to be there because she just sounds like she's the life of the party. So she even told a TV reporter in 1969 that, quote, the anti-Vietnam War protests remind her husband of the Russian Revolution. And so Nixon she just gets under his skin, really. And he starts like strategizing how to maybe make her, like maybe make people not take her so seriously. And so I think kind of a more gentle smear campaign was started with her at first. So people begin to talk about her drinking, and then people would say she would have too much to drink and then would start making late night phone calls. And she would also call the president. She told people she's just advising him every once in a while. And she would also call newspapers.
So she could just like get on the phone and call the president at at night with a few glasses of wine in her and be like, here's what I'm thinking.
Hey, Dick.
Hey, Dick. I don't think she got on the phone at night with the president. It seems like she just was kind of always making phone calls, like day or night. She liked to talk with people. It seemed like she really wanted to have conversations and discussions.
Uh-huh.
So she would call the newspapers, and she had journalists that she had very good rapport with. And so they would report on what Martha Mitchell is saying about things at the White House. She got a reputation it was almost like she had in several maybe newspapers and magazines Martha Mitchell Corner, where it was what's Martha Mitchell wearing? What's Martha Mitchell saying? What's Martha Mitchell's opinion on this? And her husband seemed to go along with it. He would even poke fun at the situation, sometimes calling his wife an unguided missile to a room of spectators. And the Nixon administration, the reason why Nixon just hated that Martha was talking to the press so much is that they were very anti-press. And so Martha, she's one to buck the system. She just took that as her cue to be very friendly with the press. And she would even make appearances on sketch shows. So she was in a sketch with Lily Tomlin on an older sketch show, and where they just kind of made a little sketch about how much Martha talked on the phone, and how Ma Bell would, because Ma Bell is the original phone company or something like that, and how Ma Bell just really appreciated Martha Mitchell's patronage.
So literally she loved being on the phone.
She loved.
You were I gathered this. It was that's actually kind of what she was known for.
Yes. She even had a fan club, and just constantly being featured in magazines. So Helen Thomas, a reporter, she recalls being on Air Force One with a bunch of other press, and Martha Mitchell comes back to the press area, and some of the reporters start asking her a couple questions, but very much what do you think of miniskirts? What do you think of this fashion trend? And she talks back and she's ask me something important. Stop talking about miniskirts. And so Helen says, what do you think about the Vietnam War? And Martha responds, I think it stinks. And that was every headline. Martha Mitchell thinks the Vietnam War stinks.
Ooh, it rhymes even.
Uh-huh.
I wish they would have said, Martha Mitchell, no opinion on miniskirts, also thinks Vietnam War stinks.
Yes. Hand on hip. And after this incident, Martha was barred from being on Air Force One.
Oh my gosh. So she made Dick mad.
Made him real mad. So, being under fire for this comment, but only from the White House, Nixon, so Nixon is, separately from this, Nixon is secretly recording conversations in the White House. And so there is audio of him talking about Martha and how much he dislikes her.
Ooh. And you shall play that audio?
No.
Just kidding.
I should have.
Joke.
It was in the documentary that I watched. Oh, I should also say my sources are a BBC article, The Tragic Story of Martha Mitchell, written by Matt Glazebrook, and the Netflix documentary, The Martha Mitchell Effect.
Okay.
Martha gets a little heat for that comment about the Vietnam War, and Nixon is secretly recording conversations. And so there is, you can hear him talking about Martha, and her name is mentioned over 100 times in these recordings. And President Nixon specifically refers to Martha as a pain in the ass. And so she's like really getting under his skin. But on Martha's end, she thinks that they're friends with the president because her husband is so close with him. If not his right-hand man, like very close to that.
Right.
He's constantly in communication with the president. And so while Nixon couldn't stand Martha, the public loved her. And she was also on this team that was trying to get him reelected. People loved watching Martha. Martha was always smiling. Like, just the footage of this woman, she is a bright light. And so Martha's opinion about Nixon changes after she's forced to go on this trip to California. She didn't want to go, but her husband was like, this is mandatory. And that is over June 17th, 1972, the night of the Watergate break-in.
No way.
Mm-hmm. So Watergate, most of us have heard about it.
I know about it from that lovely documentary starring
Kristen Dunst.
Yes, Kristen Dunst.
The amazing, very accurate movie Dick with Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams. Still was never totally clear on what Watergate was.
Oh my gosh, that movie is so funny. And I just remember Kristen Dunst like making out with that boy, but then like leaning over him and just brushing her hair back and forth over his face. Do you remember that? It was just such a adorable little young
like
teen.
Awkward teen moment.
Yes.
Like where she thinks it's going to be sexy and the guy's just like, oh, okay, all right.
Oh man, that one's worth a rewatch, I bet.
I've got to watch it again.
And wasn't Michelle Williams' character just obsessed with Nixon?
I don't remember.
I think
Probably.
so. And they like
I
become
don't
the
remember.
White House dog walkers.
That's right.
Okay, we got to give that a rewatch.
I need to rewatch it. Along with the real documentary that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that you
Martha
used as a
Mitchell
source.
Effect. Yeah, it was really good. So I have a very simplified breakdown of what Watergate was. So a massive political scandal in the 1970s involving President Nixon, and it began when Nixon sent operatives to break into the Democratic Party headquarters to steal campaign secrets, to plant listening devices, street name, Bug the Room, in their phones and offices. And so Nixon, as we know, denied everything. And then it came out that Nixon recorded everything. And so eventually his own recordings would be the evidence that would bring Nixon down. And Nixon resigns in disgrace in August of 1974. Back to Martha.
Yikes.
She's in California. It's June of 1972. Her husband has left her in California against her wishes. She's like, you forced me to come here, and now you're leaving? Like, what the heck? And so Martha...
Oh, this is her second husband?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I liked him. I mean...
Well, we'll see.
Maybe not now. Maybe not now. I think I like the part where they said he was a rich...
Manhattan lawyer.
Manhattan lawyer. I was like,
Yeah, you always fall fast and hard before you have enough information.
That has happened to me.
Every time.
All the time. Hence my current... No, I'm just kidding. My current husband's awesome. Current. I don't know why I called him my current husband. Think I've made up my mind, but yes.
I think it's important to reevaluate after 25 years.
Yeah.
Just be like, okay, is this still serving me?
Yes.
I feel like...
Okay. So Martha's husband, John, suddenly leaves her in California. And then Martha's super busy. She doesn't have a chance to read the news for about 5 days. And then she finally is able to sit down and read a newspaper. And this is when she learns about the break-in. And she also learns that one of the 5 burglars was James McCord, who is a consultant on Nixon's re-election committee, also bodyguard to John Mitchell and the family. So this man personally was a bodyguard to Martha and her children.
Oh my.
And so the Mitchell family has 4 children between the two of them. John has 2 children from a previous marriage. Martha has one child from her previous marriage, and they have one child together. Then it comes out that John had authorized the burglary, and Martha is furious. She immediately calls John to find out what's going on, and she goes to bat for her husband, just saying this has to be a frame job. And so the narrative about Martha begins almost immediately. She's described as out of hand, hysterical. She's just blabbing about Watergate.
Just immediately anything to discredit her. So terrible.
So in one incident, she's talking on the phone, and a bodyguard is instructed to get her off the phone. And then she is sequestered, or, as some people called it, held captive, as a doctor is called in to calm her down. He gives her an injection of a tranquilizer, and the doctor recalls thinking it was unusual, but when you get a call from someone high up in the government, you do what they say. So this is Martha's description of that incident. She is held down. She is being held captive by her husband's security guards. She's on the phone, and then 5 men grab her, take the phone from her. She is thrown down on the bed, roughed up, and then injected in her rear. She said that she was held without food for days.
Oh my gosh.
And she would later learn that her staff had been instructed by John to keep her away from newspapers. Two very different scenes have been described.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I changed my mind about this guy.
Very much so. So Martha continues her phone calls as soon as she can, but she describes that moment as the end of her patriotism. And one of Nixon's primary concerns during this time is Martha. He's obsessed with this woman. And he's saying she's going to create a national problem. And after this incident, she stated she was leaving her husband until he gets out of politics. And at this moment, Martha has not learned that John had given those instructions. So she still thinks that John is being framed by the administration.
She still thinks favorably of him.
She still does, because she doesn't
still
know
trying to give him the
that
benefit of
John
the
gave
doubt.
any instructions about anything.
Oh, geez.
Okay, so after this incident, Martha, she moves out. She leaves John, and she says, John, it's the president or me. And newspapers report on this.
Wow.
So Nixon is still continuing to blame Martha for everything. And Nixon is saying she is the reason John let the Watergate thing get out of hand. And Nixon is just trying every which way to keep this woman quiet. And so they continue with their strategy of painting Martha as an unwell woman whose husband is stepping down to support her. So this is a strategy. And they're saying things like, they'll think, how romantic. What a supportive husband, taking care of his troubled wife.
Jeez. Tale as old as time.
Silencing
women when they cause any kind of
commotion.
I don't even want to use the word trouble. Yeah, any kind of
Make
raising
waves.
the alarm.
Yeah.
Make any kind of
An
waves.
inconvenience for men in power. That's what it is. It's they, any kind of inconvenience.
So they really ramp up the smear campaign this time. They have people quoting that Martha is troubled. Martha is a drunk. She's ill. Martha Mitchell is sick, sick in the head. She's volatile. She's all mixed up. She's crazy. She's refusing mental health assistance. So when John Mitchell quits, he states that his wife comes first. And the White House says there's no scandal, just completely trying to forget the Watergate thing, and that John quit for no other reason than the sake of his wife. And then there's recordings literally saying they're going to hang everything on her.
Oh my gosh.
So Martha, just with her husband stepping down, with all of this stuff coming, like being reported in the newspapers about her, she's mortified, she's hurt, and she wants to find out who's responsible for this. She doesn't know. And she became the butt of many political jokes, but she also had a lot of supporters, like marches with signs saying "Free Martha Mitchell." But then, of course, also like other political candidates being like, "And my wife's no Martha Mitchell," and then everybody laughs.
Oh, geez.
So Martha does hide away for a little while and stop speaking out. And Nixon's smear campaign worked. He was reelected. And
this all happened before
his reelection.
Oh, geez. Wow, so it really worked. Oh, man.
Because Nixon wanted the Democratic Party's campaign strategies. So James McCord does come forward, and he says John Mitchell is part of the planning committee of Watergate. And I like to use planning committee because it sounds cute.
It does.
Planning committee.
So this sparks Martha to start talking to her friends again. And she starts calling her friends in the press. She calls the New York Times, and she's talking very openly about how she fears that someone may be trying to frame her husband. And she's going to protect her husband, and she'll name names if she has to. And she's very passionate. And like, you can just tell how much she just deeply, deeply loved her husband. Like, she was ride or die. And she was not going to let him go down without a fight. And she spoke out so much that she was the first one to call for Nixon's resignation.
Oh, wow.
And she says that this was the only time that John got mad at her.
Wow.
But John was pretty mad. He moves out. The smear campaign continues. So reports cited that Martha threw his clothes out into the hallway of their New York apartment. Friends claimed that John told them that Martha is a sick woman, but he cannot bring himself to take the legal steps to have her committed.
Oh, to have her committed?
Uh-huh.
Like to a mental institution?
Yes.
Oh.
Dirty.
I hate this.
Martha, and it was not only once that this Nixon administration tried to commit Martha.
It's just
/
so awful.
Her husband.
That men could do that to women.
Yeah. And Martha took the estrangement from her husband very hard. A friend later said that it just completely left a hole in Martha's heart. And I mean, I can't imagine that level of betrayal that she would feel after going to bat for her husband so hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be a tough thing to deal with.
Yeah, but Martha continues to speak out, and she talks about how hard things were for her, and she said she should be an alcoholic because of her trying times, but she's just not. So I kind of thought that was funny. She's like, I have every right to be an alcoholic at this point. Are you kidding me? She's like, they're saying I'm an alcoholic. I have every right to be, but I'm not. She was also very fearful that something was going to happen to her. She says they tried to commit her twice. She says that they had tried to kill her, and she woke up every day wondering what was going to be next. And so Martha eventually, so after this is when Martha eventually finds out through the tapes that were released, her husband did sit with Nixon in the Oval Office, and they planned the whole thing, even the smear campaign against her.
What a betrayal. That is so awful.
Uh-huh. That is awful.
So Bob Woodward, who was one of the reporters who kind of he and who was the other guy? Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. And this would be 50 years later, but Bob Woodward revealed that as Martha's marriage began to break down in early 1974, she had given the reporters access to John Mitchell's personal papers saying, I hope you get the bastard. And then yet whatever other insights she could have provided had she been taken more seriously, Martha's June 1972 imprisonment alone should have indicated that the people around Richard Nixon had something to hide and were willing to go to extraordinary lengths to do so. But that came out 50 years later. Like,
So,
you know, she just
what
didn't
was her
get enough
charge
credit.
when she was imprisoned? Or are you talking about being committed?
When they like literally kept her imprisoned in like a hotel room in California.
I see. Okay. Gotcha. Sorry, I thought you meant literally she went to prison, and I was like, did I snooze when you said that part?
No, and it was a valid question. Thank you for clarifying.
No, I'm glad you asked too, because in my mind I was like, I somehow must have
Like she's
been
in jail.
distracted in my own brain for a minute.
When she was kept in captivity
Yes.
by 5 bodyguards.
That's so awful.
So Martha, she is a celebrity and a loved celebrity, which offered the Nixon administration some difficulty in like trying to totally smear her, as evidenced by her supporters who would like march for her. But John's removal from Martha was nearly 2 years in the making. And so with the recordings coming out, John Mitchell is charged with obstruction of justice and lying to the grand jury and FBI, and he is facing 30 years in prison. And Nixon did not pardon him before he left office.
Oh boy, he could have done one little thing for his friend that sacrificed his marriage. I mean, I'm glad. I think John deserved this sentence.
Yes.
But seriously,
Well,
Richard.
do you think he got 30 years?
No, I'm guessing not based on your face. Based on your face, which tells me no.
No.
I guess I'm about to find out.
John Mitchell ends up doing 19 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
So
that is just over a year and a half.
I was sitting
Yeah.
here going, wait, did he Epstein himself, or is she going to say a really short sentence? It's one of the two.
short
When you said
sentence.
19, I thought you were going to say 19 years. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Only 19 years.
Even worse.
Whoa.
So John Mitchell's statement on his sentencing said, quote, "It could have been a lot worse. He could have sent me to live with Martha Mitchell." Yeah,
Wow, he really turned on her.
really turned on her. And Nixon resigning made Martha feel like
Scum.
she needed to stand up, and she kind of did a little bit of a press tour. Martha is exonerated, essentially. And she's interviewed by Maury Povich, who we know his name, famously usually called "You're Not the Father" or "You Are the Father."
Yes.
That little game he likes to play on his show.
I loved the Maury Povich show back in the day. That was a fun. I
know.
loved watching Maury Povich.
It was such entertaining TV. And Martha had a wonderful time telling her story, especially now that everyone knew she was telling the truth the entire time. Like, she just picked herself back up and like went out, and she looked fabulous. She always looked fabulous. And but, you know, she was also very honest about how she felt about the whole thing. And she said she was very bitter about the way she was treated. And she sues John Mitchell for back child support, which he never ends up paying, because right after this, Martha Mitchell is diagnosed with a devastating blood disease or blood cancer, multiple myeloma.
Oh, no.
And Martha passes away on May 31st, 1976. And John Mitchell refused to see her before she died.
Oh, he's the worst.
Jerk.
Not a good guy.
No. A real big jerk face. So her funeral was held on June 3rd. 400 people attended her funeral, and hundreds of bouquets of flowers were sent to her funeral. One arrangement spelling out in white flowers, "Martha was right." There was no card with the arrangement.
Oh my gosh.
That was the Democratic Strategy Party Committee.
Probably.
Maybe.
Who do you think it
Maybe
was?
It was from Two Little White House Dog Walkers.
Kirsten Dunst And shoot, who was the other
who
actress?
do you
Michelle
think?
Williams.
Michelle Williams. Who do you think?
I don't know. I wonder if it's the reporters, Bernstein and
Woodward.
Woodward,
Or
and Bernstein, maybe.
Woodward. Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I'm
or it just
wondering,
could have been
too.
some of her supporters, because like in the footage of
Mm-hmm.
these like marches with people having free Martha Mitchell posters, like there was a lot of people. So
Right. It could have been anyone,
Mhm.
but it's kind of, I would love to speculate that it was the reporters,
yeah,
that it was Woodward and Bernstein.
yeah,
That's what I'm going to let sit on my heart.
yeah.
I don't know though. We'll need a whistleblower to tell us.
Yes, right in. Do you know? So one of her friends who was interviewed after Martha died, she was asked, was she a crazy lady? And her friend responded, no, I think she was a terrific person, a visionary in a sense, and prophetic. So there's an interview that Martha Mitchell did do with Barbara Walters, and Barbara asks her, how would you like people to think of you? And Martha responds, well, if I ever do any good, Barbara, I would like to go down as doing some good for my country. That's all. That would be the greatest feeling in the world. And Barbara says, and your way of doing it is to speak up. And Martha says, that's right. So
I feel like that's true. I feel like that is exactly what happened.
yeah, she stayed true to herself. So in 1988, a Harvard psychologist, Brendan Mayer, coins the term the Martha Mitchell effect, which is the process in which a person's beliefs are initially labeled as delusional, but later turn out to be true.
Oh.
So I think,
sort of like gaslighting on a major level.
yeah, on by the government.
Wow, yeah.
So if there's anything I think that we can take away from Martha Mitchell, or take from Martha Mitchell, is to be yourself, speak your truth, and we don't know how much time we have on this earth. So don't marry someone that will let you hype them and they will not give you that same energy in return. And that is the fantastic and tragic story of the brave Martha Mitchell.
Wow, Haley. I didn't know anything about that.
Good.
Thanks.
Either I just kind of knew her name,
Yeah.
like I'd heard it somewhere before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great, very nicely done.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
I'll go next, and
Mhm.
there's a little bit of a tie-in between yours and mine because they both liked to use the phone for some of their whistleblowing activities.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about a divorced single mother, a career civil servant, and a fiercely patriotic government employee who believed deeply in institutions, protocol, and truth-telling. She loved Christmas so much, and she hated philanderers.
I feel the
also-
same way.
Yeah.
Love Christmas, hate philanderers.
She was also known for her sharp observations and a long memory, with an appetite for knowing details about everyone's private lives. In the late 90s, or the mid 90s actually, she went from being an anonymous bureaucrat to the target of jokes, vitriol, and speculation for her role in one of the largest ever American public scandals. I'm going to tell you about Linda Tripp.
Oh my gosh. Yay.
As I said, Linda Tripp was a smart woman known for speaking her mind. She's been described as a gossip and a busybody as well, and we all know that that kind of accusation is sometimes just a way to discredit or dismiss women's truth-telling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not always. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And actually, as I'm telling this, I feel like my opinion shifted a little bit as I read and learned about this case, but I still have conflicting feelings about it. So, and I bet you will too. Nevertheless, coworkers of Linda said that she always knew the the details, the dirt, if you will, on everyone around her. She would pry.
I have friends like that.
Yeah.
I know exactly who I need to talk to if I need the dirt on anything.
Yeah, she would pry a little. She was also, though, known to be cheerful and hardworking and reliable. Like she was good at her job. She started with kind of as a secretary type role and just kind of continued in that role, but worked higher and higher up. She worked her dream job in the White House under President George H.W. Bush, so Bush Sr., and she stayed on after Bill Clinton took office in 1993, but she struggled to fit in Clinton's White House. She kind of felt sidelined and disliked by some staffers. She also did not like the Clintons and wasn't quiet about it. She took issue, specifically, she said that it was like undignified that Hillary Clinton used the public restroom. And she said that Bush's wife never would have. She would have rather been catheterized than use the public restroom that everybody else used.
What?
She also complained a lot about the shift in atmosphere, specifically what she saw as Bill Clinton's very flirtatious and kind of openly inappropriate sexual behavior. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't quiet about this, but she was surprised and hurt when eventually she was transferred out of the White House to the Pentagon, a move that she personally took as a demotion, even though it came with a pay raise.
Okay.
And then in 1996, as she was working at the Pentagon, she met another woman who had also been sidelined to the Pentagon from the White House. It was 22-year-old intern Monica Lewinsky.
I knew it.
Uh-huh. I didn't realize that Monica started at the Pentagon.
She started at the White House as an intern and was sidelined to the Pentagon.
That's what I meant to say, but I said it wrong.
In April 1996, Lewinsky's superiors transferred her from the White House to the Pentagon because they felt...
In 1896?
1996. Did I say 18?
I don't know. I thought I heard 1896. I'm probably wrong.
Listen, if we're off by a century or two, forgive me. So they transferred her from the White House to the Pentagon because they felt... Her superiors felt that she was problematic, that she was spending too much time with President Bill Clinton. And
blaming the woman.
Always. So despite the age difference between Linda Tripp and Monica Lewinsky and their very apparent different personalities, the two women became close. Monica trusted Linda. She vented to her, cried to her, and shared secrets that she didn't share with really very many other people. Mm-hmm. In September of 1997, Monica Lewinsky confided in her coworker Linda Tripp that she had been having a sexual relationship with President Bill Clinton. The president was 27 years older than Monica Lewinsky at the time.
Yeah. And that power imbalance.
She told Linda everything. And listen, I think that Linda was really eating it up and, drawing information out of her in the ways that she could. They had late night. So she told Linda about late night phone calls that Monica, had with the president. They would have late night phone calls, private meetings. He sent gifts, and they had intimate encounters, physical, sexual encounters inside the White House. So here was a young woman describing this secret affair that she was having with the most powerful man in the world. Mm-hmm. And she had said that there were encounters in the Oval Office, just divulging all of the things that we've all heard about. I think I was 16 when I heard all of this stuff unfolding in the news, 16 to 17. Uh-huh. So I didn't understand fully everything that was going on.
Yeah. You probably also didn't even pay that much attention because why would that be super important to you at 16?
Yeah.
Or maybe,
I mean, a lot of what I heard, honestly, was, from the adults in my life that were pretty, disgusted by what was happening in the spectacle that was going on.
Or from Saturday Night Live sketches.
And from Saturday Night Live skits, yes. So,
we all said that.
Yes. So, no, yeah. I mean, that's actually a big thing. According to Linda Tripp, what she heard from Monica, these encounters involved oral sex, other sexual acts, but no sexual intercourse. And Linda decided that she should begin to secretly record the phone calls between herself and Monica Lewinsky. So she also, in her phone calls, convinced Monica Lewinsky to save the infamous blue dress, not to have it dry cleaned, because it had been stained with President Clinton's seminal fluids. So a lot of people have opinions about this friendship relationship between Monica Tripp and Lewinsky. And for perspective, it would be like a woman my age befriending. So I'm 44. Linda Tripp was 44 at this time. It would be like a woman my age befriending a 22-year-old. And I mean, like, that can be seen. I mean, if she's not treating her with a nurturing, I'm not saying that adult women owe younger adult women nurturing. I mean, everybody's adults in that encounter, but I do feel like it's not, I don't know. I struggle to even know how to say what I feel about it. And there are a lot of different characterizations about what the intention was, what the motives were.
Well, and it's just not black and white.
Yes, it's not. Linda Tripp was said to be particularly disgusted by the age difference and how close in age Monica Lewinsky was to Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of Bill and Hillary Clinton. And I get that. Critics did try to spin it that Linda Tripp was possibly jealous that she, as a woman in her 40s, was not the object of sexual desire of a man in his 50s. You know, and I don't think I buy that. I don't really think that Linda Tripp wanted or would have accepted any sexual advances from a married government employee, just based on what I know about her.
Well, and also that just sounds like a male narrative. Like, you know what? Linda was jealous. Just like a way to pit women against each other, to make it about competition for men rather than actually maybe Linda, actually having a problem with what was occurring.
Yes.
Yeah, completely disgusted.
There's always some way to try to discredit, as we've talked about before.
Well, and that narrative keeps men centered.
Yes, for sure. So some people also point out that these phone conversations where, I mean, you know, we're talking about it as these two women befriending each other, but it was pretty one-sided. It was a lot like she was talking to Monica and talking to her about her life, but there wasn't any of Monica being like, sorry, enough about me, Linda. Tell me what's going on in your life. There was none of that. It was very Monica-centered, which is typical for a 22-year-old. Like, people in that stage of life are more self-centered. But that was definitely something that was apparent in the conversations. You know, and Linda didn't seem to mind. Honestly, she wasn't trying to share her details with with anybody. At some point, Linda Tripp decided to contact a literary agent named Lucianne Goldberg, and she was a conservative. She had strong conservative political ties, this literary agent. So Linda Tripp was having conversations with her, kind of let her know, like, hey, I have some stuff, some information. But Lucianne and her son, Jonah Goldberg, who's also a famous political figure, they urged her to take the information to independent counsel Kenneth Starr. So I'll get back in a minute to Kenneth Starr and what his role was in all of this stuff going on. Linda taped around 20 hours of conversations between herself and Monica Lewinsky. And on the tapes, Monica discussed the affair in detail, described, and this was, I think, where, and while it's hard to say when Linda's motivations become more clear, but like she had already started recording when Monica points out that she was being pressured to sign an affidavit saying that she had not had sexual relationship with the president. And this was in relation to the Paula Jones sexual harassment lawsuit that had actually started before Clinton even became president. This was like, I'll tell you, Paula Jones was a 24-year-old when Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. And she was working at an event or something and was told that the president needed to speak with her. And you can call it naive or you can call it just like being a decent person with decent expectations. She did not think that this was weird or out of the ordinary. She thought that the governor needed her for something pertaining to her job, and she was escorted by a state trooper to Bill Clinton's hotel room, where, once they were alone, he made unwanted sexual advances, exposed himself, asked her to kiss it. She declined. She rejected his advances. Ugh. And basically felt like it impacted her professionally. She was in a hostile work environment. She was demoted. So she ended up filing a lawsuit. And this was all this was all like on the public record before he was even elected. So we knew that Bill Clinton was a skeevy dude, you know, from the get-go. Ugh. So basically, that was the Paula Jones situation. So in January 1988, when Linda Tripp found out that Monica Lewinsky was being pressured to sign an affidavit for the Paula Jones case.
Who was pressuring Monica?
The Clintons inside group.
Just like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Linda followed the suggestion of Lucianne Goldberg, and she took the tapes to Ken Starr. So Ken Starr was not associated with the Paula Jones lawsuit, but he had already been investigating the Clintons on several other things, including, do you guys remember the Whitewater controversy, which I found so confusing in the 90s? I kept conflating it in my young mind with Watergate.
Yeah, okay.
Whitewater
I did
was a different thing where basically the Clintons got into some shady land deals with shady characters. I don't really know all the details. I'm sure there's more to it, but it's stuff they shouldn't have been doing with people they shouldn't have been doing it with when he was the governor.
Right.
So this was being investigated. Okay. And then also there was a White House FBI files controversy, which was basically that files were improperly requested and received from the FBI, and then background reports relating to several hundred individuals were obtained without the proper permissions. And this was it was basically like going after information about the other political party, and it was shady. So this was another thing that was being investigated. So Ken Starr was looking at those two things. And then there was also the White House Travel Office controversy, which was where several employees were fired after the Clintons came into the White House from the travel office. And usually those positions are maintained after administration changes, but they fired these people, claiming that it was due to financial improprieties during the previous administrations, but critics thought that the firings were to allow their friends and campaign donors to take over the travel business.
What?
To get these deals.
Who would ever do that? Who would give their friends and family jobs in our government? What?
The more I hear about all of this, the more I'm like, we need to start over from scratch and have better rules in place.
Wipe the slate clean.
Yeah. So these were just the things that were already being looked into about the Clintons, unrelated to the whole Paula Jones thing. So then when the Monica Lewinsky scandal came to light, it was like pure pandemonium. The headlines dominated every newspaper. You know, every news outlet was in overdrive about the Monica Lewinsky stuff. And you know, it's like a scandal. And President Clinton stood before cameras and said, Haley,
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yeah, he even named her Miss Lewinsky. Oh. So during the grand jury testimony, Clinton's responses were carefully worded, kind of slippery. And he famously argued, it depends on, this is a quote, it depends.
Can I quote it? I know it.
Do you know it?
Depends on what the definition of is.
Yes, what the meaning of the word is. Yes. Okay. Isn't that bizarre? So that was with regard to the truthfulness of his statement that there is not a sexual relationship, an improper sexual relationship, or any other kind of improper relationship. So he did later admit to the affair, but not until August of 1998. And months later, DNA evidence from the famous blue dress corroborated the affair.
And not until Monica Lewinsky had been dragged in the media through the mud.
Yes. I think
relentlessly.
Imagine. She was 22, which is young. She's not a child, but she was young, and she was taken advantage of by a predatory man in a position of power. Yes. I mean, it's gross. I think I think we're all reflecting back on those years where we were awful to so many women, and she's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
But also, okay, so that led to, the whole impeachment thing. He was impeached by the House of Representatives, but then he was acquitted by the Senate. So it was one of those like whole to-dos that does nothing. And, it did leave this lasting thing. A lot of people associate the Clinton presidency with that whole scandal. And also Linda Tripp did not come out of this unscathed. She saw herself, and some people saw her as like a courageous whistleblower who exposed deception and abuse of power at the highest levels of government. But some people also thought that she was manipulative and a betrayer who weaponized a vulnerable young woman's trust for political ends and suspected that she wouldn't have done it if it was the other way around, like a different political party that wasn't on her side.
I think two things can be true.
Yeah. I mean,
Five
motivations
things all
can
at
be
once.
very complex, right?
Can I tell you guys something that I just remembered about this time? This has like nothing, it does have something to do with this. Like, so I was in 6th grade when like I kind of all of this kerfuffle was going on. And I remember a classmate of mine came to school wearing one of those like rubber band kind of Lance Armstrong, but it had what WWJD, and she changed the J to an M, and she told everybody it was what would Monica do.
Oh.
And we were in 6th grade.
Oh my gosh. And what would she do?
I didn't know, and I didn't ask questions. I just knew that I probably shouldn't talk about Monica Lewinsky with anyone.
Will you tell us who it was later?
Yeah, I don't think you guys would know her. She wasn't necessarily like in my friend group, but she was just in my grade and class in 6th grade.
Okay, so Linda Tripp did also get into some trouble because Maryland is a two-party consent state. So recording somebody without their knowledge is illegal there. So Linda was charged with wiretapping, but the charges were dropped. And then Monica and Linda Tripp both became the butt of endless jokes. Famously portrayed on SNL, where John Goodman was Linda Tripp and Molly Shannon was Monica Lewinsky. The late night hosts were ruthless. And it was never, hey, like Bill Clinton, why are you the worst? It was always like something about Linda Tripp being awful or something about Monica Lewinsky being like a loose woman or whatever they wanted to say,
I remember.
Linda,
that was in my
Linda
heavy
Tripp
SNL
said that
days.
she mostly thought it was funny, but sometimes some of it did hurt her feelings. And actually, we have all these pictures, like the famous ones that were portrayed of her at the time were not flattering pictures, but she's actually a pretty woman. She was pretty.
My feelings would be hurt if John Goodman portrayed me. Maybe.
It depends. It depends on...
Like, to be portrayed by such an actor, maybe would be an honor.
I mean, yeah. I think you'd have to really have thick skin if you're being portrayed by anybody, because they're not usually trying to make you feel good.
Never.
Yeah, especially on SNL.
So in 2001, just as the Clinton era ended, Linda was fired from her job at the Pentagon. The Department of Defense said that she had improperly accessed confidential personnel files of multiple employees, including Monica Lewinsky. Linda Tripp insisted that the firing was just retaliation for her whistleblowing. And that the government just wanted to punish her for exposing the scandal.
I'm guessing that's the one.
I believe her too. I also think for somebody, she was very into protocols and propriety, and she would have known if she was allowed to access those files or not. I'm not saying that she was wrong to do it. Sometimes you do need people to do a hard thing in order for everybody to know about something. So I don't say that with judgment. I just say it with like what I know about her. And she would have known if she was allowed or not to access certain files. And, So she did sue, though, and reached a settlement. She claims that it was not enough to set her financially right with her legal fees and everything. She did not ever anticipate how much her character would be crucified by the whole entire United States.
Yeah.
But, she had gone from being just like a career civil servant that really liked to know about people's private business to somebody who, and she was a hard worker. Everybody said that she was a hard worker and did her job well. But then she became basically the most hated woman in America. So she did appear on Larry King in December of 2003. She talked about living with breast cancer, about her invasion of privacy lawsuit that was successful against the federal government. And she says that her violations of Monica Lewinsky's privacy were not the same as the Clinton administration's violations of her privacy. They weren't even. Yeah. And that's her claim. She also,
I would agree with her, honestly.
Yeah, she admits that what she did was illegal, like the wiretapping, like recording was illegal. She was able to avoid prosecution because she accepted immunity in exchange for testifying.
Right. Well, and especially, just because she's gathering evidence against the sitting president who has a case against him that involves like a similar situation. So I just feel like, I don't know.
I think there aren't enough things in place for people to safely and legally get information about somebody in power. I think that's the trickiest thing. It's once it becomes corrupt, you can't really safely.
Well, this is why people go to the press.
Yes,
because it's like so many difficult situations with within the police force, within the military. If you have to report to your superior and your superior is the one who is like offending you.
Yeah.
Like, who do you go to?
Well, exactly. And then also it's like while she did break the law in recording, she knew that if she hadn't had the recordings or that dress, that it would have been a he said, she said, or she said, and it just would have been a gossip. They'd already worked hard to portray her as a gossip. It would have been like, this lady's making it up. She likes to gossip.
Yep.
So she died in April of 2020 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. So she survived breast cancer and died of pancreatic cancer. I did forget to mention that she married a German man in 2004, and they opened a German-themed holiday store called the Christmas Sleigh. Aww. So she got to, be around Christmas stuff, which she loved.
Sleigh, I love that.
Slay?
Yes.
Like the Christmas sleigh.
Yes. And then she also posthumously, so she died in 2020, and then in December of 2020, her memoir came out posthumously. And that was the one called A Basket of Deplorables, What I Saw Inside the Clinton White House. And in the book, this came out, I don't know if you guys...
this sounds like it happened right after she died. This was like right in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. There was
so it would have been a lot.
Yeah. So, in the book, she portrays herself as just somebody who was trying to expose abuse of power. She felt like the critics tried to paint her as being manipulative and opportunistic. And she was not shy in the book about her negative views of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I have a lot of opinions on this, and I feel like they're conflicting a little bit. I feel at the same time protective of Monica Lewinsky, and also like, I don't know, like I understand how disgusted Linda Tripp would be. And
I wonder if from like Linda Tripp's perspective, she's like, I am protecting this young woman by befriending her and getting this information, because when you have that power as president and you're doing that stuff, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I do think that we need to collectively agree to not elect pervy skeeves
Yeah.
into positions
Yes.
of power.
I would love it if we could just clear Pervy Skeeves from the White House in general.
Like,
Yeah,
not
get him on out of
allowed.
there. It's gross that kind of stuff happens. And I do want to just also like, it's easy to talk about all of this and be like, Linda Tripp versus Monica versus, whatever. But the villain here is for sure Bill Clinton. He was for sure predatory. And there were multiple other allegations. There were other women that came forward with their own experiences with Bill Clinton in his administration. So,
and as we know, he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein up until Jeffrey Epstein's 2008 accusations and conviction.
Yeah, gross.
I'm curious if Monica has ever said anything about how she felt about Linda Tripp, like, since that time.
I'm sure she has, and I didn't really I didn't find much about it. I know that I found that so Bill Clinton basically, when Monica Lewinsky was fired from the Pentagon, he got her a job with Revlon or something. I think that Monica thought that this whole thing would just kind of blow over and that her life would be back to normal in a couple of years. And it just never really happened for her.
I remember she was interviewed by Vanity Fair, and she spoke a little bit on being a 22-year-old woman who the most powerful man in the world is interested in you. And then when that blows up and what that does to your life and how it was really hard.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I
think she just was treated so unfairly. Yeah. I just remember, I watched every episode of SNL at that time. I watched so much news. She really was vilified.
She was.
And she was so treated was terribly by celebrities. Yeah. Yes, Linda Tripp was too. Like, I still remember watching an episode of some TV show where Alan Cummings, the actor, would kind of like go and hang out with a celebrity for a day. It was like on MTV, I think. And I can't remember what it was called, but I watched an episode where he hung out with Gwyneth Paltrow for the day. But Alan Cummings, Monica Lewinsky came up and he said something positive, and Gwyneth reacted surprised. And she was like, "I'm sorry, I just, can't believe that you like her." And Alan Cummings goes, "She's a gay icon." And Gwyneth Paltrow was like, "Well, I'm a gay icon." That was her response. And then he said, "Well, what is your problem with her?" And she goes, "I guess I just have a problem with someone having all the access of celebrity without having worked for it."
Ew.
Oh,
and that's what she said about Monica. And I was and I wasn't even like pro Monica Lewinsky at this time. I think probably my conservative values were been like, well, she shouldn't have been getting involved with a married man, like I would have felt kind of that way at the time. But I just remember really feeling like that was super unfair of Gwyneth to say that. And also, I'm pretty sure Monica worked for
Please get that out harder.
No. I mean, yeah.
But it just felt so unfair.
It's gross. It sucks. It sucks because, like, you can look at the Clinton years and you can be, like, pleased with certain aspects of it, but there's nothing, like, you can't defend him as a person.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't at all.
I mean, it was... and
it also makes me think a little
awful.
bit about, like, the way our, like... I know we all talk about like keyboard warriors and people being like so overreactionary online, but there is some balance that comes with that ability, because then it was like you got what the news told you. You could talk about it privately, but there was no like collective online discourse or collective discourse about like, hey, no, that's not right. Or, I reject what you're saying.
Yeah.
Which I still think the news is feeding us some bullshit a lot of the time, but we're still able to be like, hey, everybody, we think this is bullshit, right? Right. I think, and that just didn't exist for them.
Yeah. What an interesting case, and what an interesting woman. Yeah. I was really happy when you said you were going to do Linda Tripp, because I was like, I would love to talk about this and hear about this.
I just had never until I decided to use her. I hadn't really like considered her side of it, or that what I was fed for that time when it like took over all of our lives in the 90s, that wasn't maybe fair or accurate to any of them.
Exactly. Yeah. The only person who was treated a little bit fairly was Bill Clinton, because everybody was like, Hey, get those young ladies, Bill.
It wasn't
gross.
fair. It was generous. He was treated with more generosity than he deserved, and there's
You're
nothing
right.
fair about it.
Not fair.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a better way to word that. Not
Yeah,
fair.
I knew what you meant.
Very
I was
generous.
just making sure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That's a better way to word it.
Yes. And I remember the media treating him almost like Bill.
Yeah, there was a little of that elbow and wink, wink,
Like, why else become president?
gross.
I know, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's sad.
We all agree.
And I would say my general feeling on Linda Tripp, is I think she's a hero. That's how I feel. Because I think that it's probably very scary to speak out against something that you see that's wrong. And maybe she was indeed also a gossip and also a meddler. But I feel like those terms are put so often on women. Like if the exact same situation had happened, it had been a male colleague who Monica had been confiding in, I think it would have been treated very differently. But we're able to, just because she was a woman, say she was a meddling, she was a gossip, she was in everyone's business.
Yeah, or with Haley's case, she loved her phone, she loved to talk. That's a bad thing.
She loved her drink.
She hated miniskirts, or she has no opinion on miniskirts.
Anyway, yeah.
Wow.
I don't think I'd be friends with Linda Tripp, but I respect what she did in a way, so it's
Absolutely.
interesting.
I might have been friends with her.
You would have told her everything.
She's very good at getting things out of people. We know this.
Hold on, Nettie, let me ask you a question. Are you just easy to get things out of?
What? No. Who told? Yeah. I'm just kidding.
You pat her on the back and pennies come
I don't know
out,
who you've been talking to.
Margaret.
What do you want to know? You have to cut out.
Hold on, let me press record.
Listen, top off my wine. I'm an open book. Wow.
Emily, that was so good. So many things I didn't know.
I would be curious. I would actually love to read Linda's book.
Yeah.
I'd be so curious her side of the story and what she has to say.
There are 2 books called Basket of Deplorables, and one of them is a fiction book that has nothing to do with the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal, and the other one is the Linda Tripp book. So make sure you get the right one.
Linda Tripp is on the cover, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah. Well, just the last thing I was going to say is, I know I mentioned already that I think we should not elect any pervy skeeves. And I was just thinking of who would be awesome. And Amy Poehler came to mind first, but I think mainly because she's a politician in Parks and Rec, and her character on that would be the perfect president. Maya
Leslie
Rudolph.
Knope for
I mean,
president.
who's an unproblematic woman? It's time for a woman.
Maya
Let's just be honest. It's time for a woman to be
It's time
president.
for a woman.
Yeah.
We've learned our lessons enough times. But anyway, so yeah, Nettie, I think unless you have a president to suggest, it's your turn.
Emily for president.
Our sister Emily.
You do have a degree in political science.
I sure do. Oh, you guys, I have too many skeletons in my closet.
If the skeletons in your closet are actually the skeletons in your siblings' closet, listen, we will all just be like, look, she's
I'm
the best of
busy
us.
with all the plastic skeletons that I take care of in my Halloween collection year round.
I forgot.
I don't have time for a presidency.
Forgot about your famous skeleton Halloween collection.
The funny thing is if you cut to Haley's actual house right now, she has a year-round skeleton.
I do have a year-round.
Of course you should.
It's not in the closet, though.
What?
It's not in the closet. You keep it right out in the open.
Oh, on display. Most of my skeletons are just out for anybody to see.
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. It's November 13th, 1974. It's a late night, almost midnight. A 28-year-old woman is driving alone down a dark 2-lane highway in rural Oklahoma. Her name is Karen Silkwood, and she is most likely terrified, but determined. In her car, she has a folder. Inside that folder, she has a ton of evidence, documents she's spent months collecting at great personal risk, documents that show proof that her employer, Kerr-McGee Nuclear Corporation, has been falsifying safety records, exposing workers to dangerous levels of radiation, and covering it all up. She is on her way to hand that folder to a reporter from the New York Times. But she never makes it. Her crumpled car is found at the bottom of a concrete embankment. Karen Silkwood is dead. And the folder, full of all of the evidence, is gone. What happened on that highway has never officially been resolved. But the more we dig into the details, the harder it becomes to believe that this was just an accident. And today I'm going to tell you the story of Karen Silkwood. My main sources are a documentary called Impact X Nightline, What Happened to Karen Silkwood, The Lost Tapes, which is on Hulu. And I also listened, so I watched about half of that documentary, and I also listened to the podcast of the same name, and Wikipedia, Karen Silkwood. So I'm going to take you back to just like give you a brief overview of who Karen Silkwood was. She was born in 1946 in Longview, Texas. She was a Texan girl. She was smart. She was a 4.0 student. She was a member of the National Honor Society. She loved chemistry. And this part was intriguing to me because her sister said she was the only girl in her high school chemistry class, to which, of course, my reaction was, what? They had the option of not taking chemistry?
That's my dream high school.
Because I had to take it.
Required.
I was not given a choice. When she went to college, she got a scholarship and she was studying medical technology. But she surprised everyone that knew her when she dropped out of school and suddenly got married to a man who was an oil pipeline worker, and his name was William Meadows. They had 3 kids together, so they had a few years of what seemed like a good marriage. But after they had about 3 kids, she found out her husband was having an affair, and she gave him like the opportunity to end the affair and save their marriage, and he wouldn't do it. That in addition to he had terrible spending habits and had them in a ton of debt and ended up filing for bankruptcy. She ended up leaving her husband and moving to Oklahoma City in 1972, looking for a fresh start. And I think she was also just looking for a way to have some financial stability after kind of the trauma of going through the financial upheaval of being in so much debt due to her husband's spending and then filing for bankruptcy. So she left her husband, she left the kids with her husband and gave him custody, but she would see her kids often. And they were young. They were all very young. Her youngest son appears in this documentary, and he doesn't have any actual real memories of his mother.
Oh, no.
In fact, he said that when he pictures her, that half the time he pictures Meryl Streep, because if you look up pictures of Karen Silkwood, it will often show pictures of Meryl Streep because she famously played Karen Silkwood in the 1983 movie Silkwood.
Did you watch it?
No, I couldn't find it for free.
I would have sent you a few dollars.
Oh, thank you. I would still take a few dollars, Emily, if you do want to send it my way. I'll take it. Okay. Anyway. So she found this great job in Oklahoma City at a company called the Kerr-McGee Cimarron River Plant. And it was near Crescent, Oklahoma. And she got a job there. And it was like a nuclear plant. And she got a job there as a metallography lab technician.
Wow.
The plant made plutonium fuel rods, which were used in nuclear reactors. And it wasn't glamorous work, but it paid, and it paid well. And her particular job was doing quality control on the fuel rods. So she would kind of look at what was coming through and just make sure that they were high quality. So after working there for a while, yes, Haley.
Are they like the things in the Simpsons opening sketch that Homer gets stuck in the back of his shirt? Like the
those glowing things?
Glowing rods?
You guys, if there's one sister in this trio who would not be paying attention to the opening credits of The Simpsons,
it's you.
It would be me.
Okay. I retract my question.
Hey, Haley, I know who to ask, and it's Oliver, but he's busy. We can ask him later.
Does he know about the Karen Silkwood case?
I will educate him first.
I would say based on your description, they're not the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so after working there for a while, she ended up joining the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union, known as the OCA. And she participated in a strike that went on for 10 weeks. And she was like an active participant. Like the people knew her, especially the employees or the employers at the Kerr-McGee company.
Okay.
They were like aware of her active participation in this strike. She was like a vocal participant. After 10 weeks, the strike ended up ending because the company just was basically like, we'll just fire you all and hire other people. And, you know, people need to feed their families and need to support themselves. The strike caused the managers of Kerr-McGee to start a decertification campaign to get rid of the union because they recognized that the union held a lot of power and could cause problems for them.
Boo.
So a few years later, that was in 1972. A few years later, at the very beginning of 1974, Kerr-McGee realized it was behind in production. So they started scheduling their workers 7 days a week, working 12-hour shifts. And surprise, surprise, along with this increase in hours and days working, there was an increase in accidents like spills and other things that could cause contamination. And so in July of that year, Karen, who in her work didn't actually come into contact with plutonium, her job didn't do that. She was examining the fuel rods as they came through, and they didn't actually have plutonium in them. But she experienced her own contamination event in a place where there shouldn't have been any plutonium. Because they randomly check like all the workers to see if they're showing any levels of plutonium. And she was showing levels of plutonium. And then they found out that the air vents were contaminated with plutonium. She then was subject to these things called decontamination showers, which are shown in the movie. They're absolutely horrific. And I Googled was what they showed in the movie, because I did watch YouTube clips of this, of two terrible ones. One where Karen Silkwood's, or Meryl Streep as Karen Silkwood, watches an elderly employee get escorted down crying, sobbing, going, I'm so scared, I'm so scared. And she's wrapped in plastic, and they basically strip you naked. You're stripped naked by other workers who are completely wrapped in hazmat suits and scrubbed. Their skin is coming off and getting scraped. And they're being high pressure, basically like a high pressure shower while being abrasively scrubbed. And the thing is that plutonium, or radiation, actually, the radiation generally does not go through skin at the level that people would be exposed to, but it will go into cuts and abrasions.
So it wasn't necessary at all.
Well, it was necessary. The showers were necessary, but they were making it worse by giving them abrasive showers. Like now, the decontamination showers are not done in that way. It's like a gentle cleansing with like a sponge, because it's more like let's wipe it off rather than let's scrape open your skin so that the radiation can get into the cuts. It was pretty horrific the way they were
creating
doing
a worse problem.
And
they were creating a worse problem. But what I read was that what's depicted in the movie is absolutely accurate to what these people, they were drugged down the hallway. It wasn't even like voluntary, come rinse, let's decontaminate you. You were forcefully shoved into a shower, held in place while other employees, naked, while other employees scrubbed you down.
Oh, I hate that.
And high pressure hosed you off. Yeah, pretty terrible. So she was subject to a decontamination shower. And then after that, just a few months later, because that was in July, I think in August, she made history because she became the first woman to be elected to the union's bargaining committee.
Wow.
And that, again, was for the OCA, the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union. And that's when things got serious, because her job in the bargaining committee, her very first job was to look into the health and safety conditions at the plant. She was basically supposed to make sure that the welfare of the workers was okay. Mm-hmm. And what she found was alarming. And it also makes me wonder if the person that had this job before her just decided to pretend not to see things. Because I don't think it was very difficult for her to find all of these. She found that pipes were leaking. She found that equipment was broken. Inspections of equipment were being falsified. For example, she noticed that x-rays of the plutonium fuel rods, because they would x-ray them just to make sure that they were sound and all in one piece, that they were being tampered with. People were taking black felt tip markers and covering up cracks, like on the x-ray, so that they were basically putting out these plutonium rods that were meant to be used in nuclear reactors with cracks in them. This is so All My Sons. That's what it reminded me of. I don't know if you ever read All My Sons, Arthur Miller, but it's like
I didn't.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. But it's about a man who finds out that he was basically the quality control person for this part of airplane fighter jets, and he is pressured by the people that he works with to let these parts of the airplane go through, and it ended up causing a bunch of deaths in World War II.
Oh my gosh.
So it's called All My Sons because his famous line at the end was that because his wife is like, you've got to let this go. You've got a son. You've got a living, beautiful son. And, you're beating yourself up. And his famous line was, they were all my sons, all those boys that died. So sad.
Oh.
But anyways, this reminded me of that because it's the same thing. Like, we're talking about nuclear reactors, and the plant was knowingly falsifying their safety records to push these fuel rods out that had defects. Crazy.
To make money because they're greedy.
To make money. Yeah, and to make dangerous equipment. Like the equipment that would need the highest standard of safety inspection. Nuclear reactors. Like, what? It just blows my mind. So she also found out that the company knew about this and had told people that had drawn any attention to it to not worry about it and to keep on working. Also, and this was according to a 1983 article in the New York Times, the health manual that all of the employees read upon signing their contract at work read, "Radiation is safe," in all capital letters, which was simply not true based on what I just told you about, like, the skin. So they were like, radiation is safe. Your skin will protect you, is kind of what they said. So it was almost like a half-truth. So a dust, and this is what he said in the article, is a dust-size speck of plutonium caught in the lung is widely thought to cause cancer. So she found that despite all of this being apparent, that there was no urgency and no accountability, just negligence, which was causing, danger to all of the employees that worked there.
Yeah.
And so she saw that the company valued their profits over human lives, and she was not going to stand for that.
No.
The other thing is that Karen, like, one of the most famous lines from the scene is when she talks about how young these employees were that are actually directly working with the plutonium and most likely to be contaminated. They were 90% of them were like 18 to 22-year-old young men who just wouldn't understand the dangers, or, that age where you just think you're invincible. And even if they were told that it was dangerous, they'd be like, but we're making so much money. This will be fine. This is just for a few years while we're young, not knowing that, like, a little bit of exposure to plutonium, your body doesn't get rid of it. Like, it causes cancer down the line. So she also found out that plutonium was going missing. She found that over 5 years at the plant, about 40 pounds of weapons grade plutonium went missing. And she was asking, where was it? Who had it? And if you want to know how much that is worth in today, that would be worth around a little over $3 million. And also, it just pointed out security issues. Like, if people are able to smuggle out 40 pounds of plutonium, then it is not a secure plant.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she came to know that there was that much missing. I don't know, like, what checks and balances were there. The company maintains to this day that it was just plutonium lost in the process. Like, well, every time there's a little plutonium goes down the wrong drain, just a little bit of cancer causing
just into your
chemicals,
rivers and streams.
That is still their official story, is that is what happened to that plutonium. But I think not. So Karen flew to Washington, D.C. Karen flew to Washington, D.C. to meet with the union officials at the Atomic Energy Commission, and she came with evidence. She brought records showing quality control data that had been falsified, and that the fuel rods were being approved when they shouldn't be. And she really was trying to do everything right. She was trying to do things through the proper channels. Like basically saying like, this is what my job is as the like safety person on this board now. But the people running Kerr-McGee noticed what Karen was doing and they were not happy. And she also, like, as soon as she found out this information, the people at the union were like, well, you've got to get more evidence. And she agreed to do it kind of secretly, which was super dangerous.
Yeah.
So
because she's being exposed to plutonium by doing this job, right?
So she was exposed accidentally because there was plutonium in the air filter where she and her other coworkers worked, where there shouldn't have been any plutonium at all.
Yeah.
But she did not actually in her job come into contact with plutonium. There should have been she shouldn't have been touched by it. Yeah. Okay. It's wild. But so this was a perfect segue, Haley, that you asked that, because just a few months later, like, so she was appointed to the committee in August. And so then in November, after she had met with these journalists, she began showing, or after she met with the union officials in Washington, D.C., she began showing up at the routine health checks that the plant does with alarming levels of plutonium contamination. And it wasn't just like a little bit. It was like 400 times the legal limit was found in her body. So the company went and they tested her apartment. Her kitchen was heavily contaminated. Food in her refrigerator, unopened food in her refrigerator,
she's being poisoned,
contaminated with plutonium. Bing, ding, ding, bingo. I was going to say bingo or ding, ding. I couldn't decide, so I said bing, bing.
Look at all.
Bing, bingo, Haley. It appears as though she was actually being targeted and contaminated. They pulled everything out of her apartment and burned it all.
Oh.
And it just, like, there was no way she could have brought plutonium home, because then she was accused by plant members that she was doing it on purpose to try to, like, smear the company. But everyone was like, there's no way she could have gotten that out. Although I do wonder, because 40 pounds did go missing. So somehow people were able to smuggle it out. My guess is you were able to smuggle it out if you were a higher up.
You wouldn't poison yourself like that.
No, they were actually saying that she was willing to do it to take down the company.
No.
Like that whole, the same thing that both of you talked about, like the women are crazy, like, you know.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, they determined the contamination in her apartment was deliberate. Kerr-McGee suggested that Karen did it to herself, and they actually took her to trial, but the jury explicitly said no. They rejected that theory and said that Karen was not guilty.
Yeah, that's just so wild to me, because, like, the company has so much more vested interest in not being disturbed than Karen has in disturbing them. And I mean, I know that we're all.
I think that's probably the same conclusion that the jury came to. Exactly, they were probably thinking like you. But so that begs the question: if Karen didn't do it, then who did? It would have to be someone with access to plutonium from the Kerr-McGee plant, and it looked like someone entered her home and deliberately contaminated.
And they would have to know her schedule, and if she is employed, they would know her schedule when she's going to be at the plant and when her apartment is going to be vacant to be contaminated.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, Haley, but
so
yes.
Were her children then impacted and contaminated as well, if they're all of their food?
No, because she visited her children. Her children didn't come to Oklahoma, as far as I know. She visited her children in Texas because they were still with the father.
Oh, that sucks for everybody.
Yeah, it does. But the most
also,
logical...
like, people wouldn't really mention that so much if she were a man.
Oh, yeah, about her leaving. Yeah, that was noted too. It definitely was used to kind of like discredit her and like bring her character into question. And I don't remember exactly what they said, because I just didn't focus on that part of the story, because, you know, this is such a big story. It could be a 2 or 3 episode arc, and I'm trying to condense it into, you know, a shorter
this is
thing.
awesome.
But they did say like that was noted by her critics, was like, well, what kind of woman would leave her children behind? And she said it had a little bit to do with Texas law at the time.
It's hard, and like, you can't leave the state unless the person you share custody with allows you to leave the state with the children. So it's super tough
that was
for
probably
employment.
the case. And she also knew that William was a good father. Like I remember she said he was a good father, even though he had like the money troubles, and he had a supportive family that would help with the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know that she didn't. Like her family and sisters participate in this documentary, and they seem really supportive too. I think she also had a supportive family, but I just think it was just one of those situations where it just worked out best to leave the children, but she was still trying to be an active part of their lives and had intended to continue to be an active part of their life.
Of course.
But okay, so where was I? It looked like the logical explanation for what was happening was someone was trying to discredit her by planting the plutonium in her apartment and to scare her into silence. But it did not work. No, not on our Karen Silkwood. And her sisters recall a phone call just like I think within a couple weeks before her death where she called her mother crying and scared. And she said she was being targeted. She said she was scared for her life. And her mom said, come home. You need to come home. And she's like, no, I've got to see this through.
Oh, boy.
I think that she had the intention once she was able to like meet with the reporters at the New York Times of going home, but she wanted to try to see the project through because she felt like the union workers were counting on her, and she also knew that lives were at risk, like
everyone,
many lives.
Yeah,
yes, and just people were in this like Kerr McGee was the community. The entire community ran on Kerr McGee. Like they worked there, or their fathers or their uncles or their brothers worked there. Everyone was relying on this company to support their families and their lives. So it was like people almost wanted to turn a blind eye to it and maybe just thought it wasn't as big of a deal as it was. Like, oh no, they're letting some pollutants run out. Well,
corporations do that.
Here's my check, you know. I think that was happening. So she, even though she knew she was being targeted, she went ahead with the investigation. Can you guys hear sirens in the background? I don't know what's happening, but they've been going on for a while.
Barely.
It's not distracting.
Okay. So November 13th, 1974. This is the fateful night. Karen attended a union meeting at the Hub Cafe in Crescent, Oklahoma. Multiple witnesses saw her there. Multiple witnesses saw her leave with a manila folder containing documents full of evidence of the safety violations at the plant. Multiple people had been shown what was in the folder. So it is like she definitely left with the folder in hand. That folder was in her car. She was on her way to meet David Burnham, a reporter for the New York Times, and he was going to help her bring this story to the public. And she was also going to meet a union representative. And I read somewhere that the union representative might have been a romantic interest as well. But she never arrived at that meeting. Her car, a Honda Civic, was found in a concrete drainage ditch off Highway 74. She had been killed on impact 7 miles from her meeting spot. The official conclusion from the Oklahoma Highway Patrol was that she had fallen asleep at the wheel, likely due to quaaludes found in her system during the autopsy. Case closed, they said. We know what happened. She fell asleep, except there's a lot of evidence that points to foul play and that this was not an accidental death, that this was murder.
Was she prescribed quaaludes, or do you think somebody...
She was prescribed quaaludes, and I'll actually talk about it a little bit in a minute, but yes, she was prescribed quaaludes, and the amount in her system... Well, I'll just talk about it now.
Yeah.
The amount in her system was small enough that it actually should have just had a calming effect. It shouldn't have made her sleepy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was like taking it as prescribed, and there's other evidence that points to... Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Let me tell the story.
Yay.
It unfolds. Okay. So a private accident investigator hired by the union looked at the car. So this is hired by the union, not by the company. And he found something that the highway patrol hadn't mentioned. He found a dent in the rear bumper of Karen's Honda, along with paint chips that did not match her vehicle. His conclusion was that Karen Silkwood's car had been struck from behind. Someone had run her off the road. The skid marks at the scenes also had troubled investigators. They suggested the car had been traveling in a straight line when it went off the road, not the erratic path you'd expect from someone drifting off to sleep. And then there's the quaaludes. And I already talked about this, but I'll just say it again. Yes, she had them in her systems, but all of the friends that had just been with her at the bar said that she was alert, she was engaged, and she was determined. They said she was on a mission and that she just didn't seem like someone who was going to fall asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
She was not acting like someone impaired. The amount in her system was not definitively incapacitating.
Okay.
But the thing that really, really drew a lot of attention and made a lot of people suspicious is the folder. The folder that multiple people saw Karen leave the meeting union with, that she had shown the documents to people. She had told them what she was carrying. She knew, like, that's the purpose. Everything was in that folder, and that's why she was going to the meeting, was to present that folder. That folder was missing.
Oh
now,
gosh.
The first officer at the scene reports that he saw papers scattered all over the road. And some reports even said that he gathered the papers, put them back in the manila folder, and tucked them in the Honda.
What? That's weird.
Is that a dog barking?
Yes, sorry, it's my dog barking.
Oh,
and
it's
I think
okay.
my refrigerator delivery is here because our fridge broke.
Oh, do you need to stop and do it real
No,
quick?
I really think
Okay.
that one of the 3 other adults in my house should handle
Okay.
it. But
They can. I bet you they can. Okay, so when investigators got to the car, the folder was gone. There was no trace of it. And they've still never been able to explain exactly what happened to it. But there were reports that some Kerr-McGee employees weirdly happened upon the accident shortly after. Some of the higher-ups happened upon the accident shortly after, and there's speculation that they snagged the folder from the car, taking the evidence.
I think that they would call that a happy accident for themselves.
I bet they would.
that stinks real bad.
And so Karen Silkwood's family filed a lawsuit against Kerr-McGee, arguing that the company was responsible for the plutonium contamination of Karen and her home. And it was a really highly publicized trial, and the jury sided with the Silkwood family. And they were awarded $505,000 in 1979.
Not enough.
Which I do not know how much. I would actually imagine. Actually, I do know how much that is. That's about $3 million in today. That's about $3 million today, because I looked up how much the plutonium would have been worth, and it was the same amount. It was about 500,000 in the 70s, which would be about $3 million today, a little over $3 million. But because they found the company had acted recklessly, they awarded the family $500,000 in damages, and they added $10 million in punitive damages to the company.
Good.
So this was like, a civil suit, and it works. These are the kind of things, like, this isn't a family being selfish saying we are trying to get rich off of nothing.
Yeah.
This is a family saying this rich company put everyone's life at risk, and our daughter and sister is dead because of it, and they need to be punished. And the best way to punish big corporations is to make them pay money, because that's the only thing that speaks to them.
Bottom line.
It's their only, the only way to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
The Kerr-McGee appealed the $10 million, and the case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And this trial dragged on for over a decade. And then, unfortunately, I mean, it's fine. But in 1986, 12 years after Karen's death, Kerr-McGee settled the lawsuit for $1.38 million, but they did not admit any wrongdoing, which, of course they did not.
Whatever, dudes.
And by that point, the plant had actually already shut down. Let me find my spot. It had been decommissioned, and I think Kerr-McGee had been absorbed by another company, and I didn't write down what the other company was. But in 2024, a documentary was produced by 2 investigative reporters that uncovered a bunch of information. And these 2 were young reporters when this was happening, and they had both wanted to work on the case, but because they were newbies at the papers they worked for, they were not allowed to. It went to other reporters, but both of them said that it was like their, what do you call it? Like the case, the white whale. Yeah, it was like the thing that they wanted to solve. They wanted to figure this out. So, and these are the guys that are behind the documentary that was made in 2024, the Investigate X documentary on Hulu. And so they found out, oh my gosh, did I not write down their names? Oh, well, I did not. But they're pretty awesome. Anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't write down their names. I'll put it in the show notes if I think of it. But they found tapes made by a highway patrolman in the 90s. His name was Larry Dellinger, and he recorded a series of tapes claiming that Karen Silkwood was murdered. He was
Nettie.
like,
Mike Bodicher and Bob Sands. Does that sound right?
oh, was it? Yeah, that does it. Bob Sands is definitely right. And was it Bottiger or Cher?
Boettcher.
Okay, I can't remember how they pronounced it, but yeah, those were the guys. Thank you for looking that up. Okay, so back to this. So, highway patrolman in the 90s. His name was Larry Dellinger, and Larry Dellinger had a really good reputation because during the Oklahoma City bombings, he became kind of like a local hero because he famously ran into the building while it was still collapsing and crumbling and like risked his own life to pull out survivors. So he was sort of like known as a hero. People trusted him. He made a series of tapes where he claimed that Karen Silkwood was murdered. He was told by other cops, it just kind of became rumor, that some local cops were working off duty for Kerr McGee, and that he heard that these cops were hired to run her off the road, causing her to die in the accident. And so on the night, so if you listen to cops, and this was told by multiple officers, on the night of her accident, 4 different policemen, and I don't know if they were in different cars, 4 policemen were tailing her. They bumped the back of her car and ran her off the road. And basically she slammed into a cement embankment because she like went down kind of into a cement culvert, and then her car slammed into it, crushing the front of it, and she was killed instantly. And several officers have said they heard these rumors, but like when investigating, and all of those officers are dead. All 4 officers that would have been involved in the accident are dead now, and were dead when they made the documentary in 2024. But if anyone who they call to ask about it, they're all still scared to talk. They all say, I don't want to talk about that. For my own safety, for my, like my own well-being, I'm not comfortable participating in this or talking about it.
Gosh.
But there wasn't anyone that was like, oh, those are just rumors. Oh, people, you know what I mean? No one's dismissing it. They all sound scared. So Larry Dellinger was like, I'm looking into this. And he was warned that it could be dangerous. And so he gave copies of his recordings of everything he found to a fellow officer. And he's like, if I die and it's mysterious, or if I die at all, you need to give these tapes to a reporter. He ended up actually turning over the evidence he gathered to the FBI and to Oklahoma State officers, but nothing ever came of it.
Ugh.
And it really bothers Larry, like he said in the documentary, that it really bothers him that these 4 officers who are now dead still lived full lives. Like they all got to live a full life while Karen Silkwood wasn't able to raise her kids and wasn't able to, like she was
28?
Young.
Was it 28,
28 years old. She was 28. Yep, exactly. They also found that a daughter of one of the investigators who had since died kept the bumper and car parts of Karen Silkwood's car in storage. And so they were able to pull them out and use the dents in the bumper. Also, there was something to do with the steering wheel because the official report was by the Oklahoma City Police was that she fell asleep while driving due to the quaaludes in her system. But apparently there's something with steering that they can detect by the wheel where it was clear that the wheel was bent in a way where she was trying to keep herself, like there was resistance. Someone who's falling asleep while driving wouldn't have that resistance. And then using modern technology and the evidence they have, they were able to reconstruct the accident and show, like with the photos of the skid marks, which they found all of this in storage, in the storage unit that this woman had saved because her dad asked her to. The investigator was like, I just feel like you should save this. Don't get rid of this. Someone might come looking one day for this. And she was so cute because she was like, I'm just so glad I have it because look what's happening now. She was like super bubbly about it. And it just feels so good to know that like you passed on your dad's legacy, for something so important. And so, they said with modern reconstruction that the driver appeared to be conscious and awake on impact, which her family was actually really grateful to hear, even though probably you'd want to hear like my loved one was asleep and didn't know what was happening. They were happy that the rumors of her being on like quaaludes and driving were disproven.
Well, because like they were trying to like smear campaign her like as somebody who abused quaaludes.
Yes.
And she wasn't.
Yeah. So, 28 years old when she died. She had 3 children that she left behind. And she really left behind quite a legacy. She faced up to retaliation that I just can't even imagine. I just don't know if I'd have the courage. Like, I listened to what she put up with, and I think that I would so easily, especially with my family, use that. And I don't even think there's anything wrong with that, saying like, no, I can't do this. I've got young kids. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it takes a different kind of courage. Mm-hmm. And I really admire her for that she was able to step up and not quit, even when her family was saying, just stop, just come home. Yeah. She's like, I can't. There's too many lives at risk. And we know now that most likely foul play was afoot, because gathering evidence of corporate wrongdoings and then something bad happening to the person, like, it doesn't always just line up. Her story helped galvanize the anti-nuclear movement, and it changed how people thought about corporate accountability and worker safety. And it actually helped change laws.
Good.
And then, as you know, because we've already talked about it, it was turned into a major Hollywood film starring Meryl Streep called Silkwood. And Meryl Streep played the character Silkwood. And she looks remarkably like the real Karen Silkwood, too.
Yeah.
Like, when I was looking at pictures, I was like, I can see how the boy would, conflate the two pictures. She was beautiful, Karen Silkwood.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that her life was cut so short. But I would say that anyone who knew her said she was very brave. In fact, they did. Everyone said she was just like such a brave woman beyond words. And I'm so happy you chose this so I could do this little dive into her life, because I'm glad to know about her.
Yeah. Wow, Nettie. That was awesome.
Thanks, Hay.
Thanks for doing this with me, sisters.
Yeah. Yes, Haley, it was a great topic.
Great choice, Hay. All right.
And Emily, I think you're taking us out.
Yes, I'm taking us out. So thank you again for listening to the Spooky Darlings. You can find us on our social media at the Spooky Darlings podcast on TikTok and Instagram, and check out our YouTube. Also, if you have any thoughts to share, any stories you want to share, please contact us at thespookydarlings@gmail.com. You can DM us on our socials too. We love to hear from our listeners. And you can find our merch on thespookydarlings.printful.me. And again, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Treat yourself. Bye.
Goodbye.